This past week, large portions of the country have been hit by intense floods, snow, and extreme cold. Then, on top of that, we've also seen several other events around the world that could have big impacts on our everyday lives. So, today, we're going to break down some of the biggest news stories from this past week that every prepper needs to know about. We'll talk about what's happening, why it matters for you, and most importantly, what you can do to keep yourself and your loved ones safe. This past week, an atmospheric river slammed into Oregon and Washington, dumping significant amounts of rain. Some places saw 10 to 17 inches in a matter of days. It flooded homes, roadways, and even entire neighborhoods. Tens of thousands of folks in western Washington were told to get out as local rivers hit or even broke their all-time record crests. Swiftwater rescue teams were sent out to save people from cars and flooded homes. Roads were wiped out, and even rail lines and key highways into Canada were underwater. Landslides also became a real concern, especially in the hilly and mountainous areas where the ground just couldn't soak up any more water. Then, when things started to settle down, meteorologists warned that another round was on the way. After the initial surge, forecasts called for another atmospheric river rolling in Sunday night into Monday, threatening to push rivers right back toward flood stage. Some models are saying that we could see another 5 to 10 inches of rain over the next week. So if you live in that area, don't let down your guard yet. But even if you don't live around there, it's still a reminder of how quickly things can escalate, even in places that are pretty used to rain. If you're anywhere near a floodplain or your property's just prone to flooding, this is a wake-up call to check on things like your sump pumps, your backup power methods, and also your bug-out plan. Then while folks out west were dealing with too much water, the rest of the country was getting hammered by early winter weather. A fast-moving winter storm tracked across the Midwest and Northeast, dropping 6 to 8 inches of snow in parts of Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky, and it even brought the first real accumulation of the year to New York City and Philadelphia. By Sunday, the storm was winding down, but not before causing more than 1,000 flight delays and creating dangerous conditions on roadways. All this was part of a system that affected basically the entire eastern half of the continental United States. An Arctic air mass plunged temperatures well below normal from the northern plains all the way down into the deep south. As of Sunday, around 63 million Americans were under some sort of cold weather alert, with hard freeze warnings all the way down to the Gulf Coast. Wind chills hit negative 20 to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit in the upper Midwest, with some spots in the Dakotas and Minnesota seeing actual temperatures in the minus 20s. And I know that I've been talking a lot about this recently, but we all really need to take the possibility of winter weather events like these seriously. Be sure to have safe backup lighting and heat sources, plenty of shelf-stable food and water, and anything else that you need to shelter in place for several days at a time. Then if you live in an area that's prone to flooding or wildfires, have a good bug-out plan as well. Then also don't forget to check on your neighbors, especially those who are a little older or aren't in good health. But one of the most important things to have in a disaster and in everyday life is clean drinking water. My family and I have been using the Cove Pier reverse osmosis system to make sure that we're drinking the healthiest water possible, and I'd like to thank Cove Pier for sponsoring us today. Even during normal times, sink water can have all sorts of contaminants that can cause various long-term health problems. And if you want to see how bad the water is where you live, all you need to do is go to the ewg.org website. From there, you can enter your zip code, and it'll let you see how your water supply stacks up against their guidelines for drinking water quality. And as you can see here, the report for my area doesn't look good, and that's why I always filter my water with Cove Pier. It sits right on your countertop and is always ready to use. You just plug the system in and it filters your water. The Cove Pier's clear wave reverse osmosis technology goes through 4 different layers of filtration to completely purify your water, and they're third-party lab certified to remove up to 99.9% of harmful contaminants. My family and I use our Cove Pier daily, and since we have backup solar power, we'd still be able to use it even during a blackout. Now, I do need to let y'all know that Cove Pier's last batch sold out in just a few weeks, and I'm not really surprised because people are starting to take having clean water very seriously, and it's also a great filter. But the good news is that while the units are on back order, they're extending their holiday discount for my audience. You'll get $250 $2 off if you use my link, copure.com/DIY prepper. So reserve yours today to lock in the best price of the year, and also grab your unit while you still can. Next up, we're going to talk about some significant financial issues normal folks like us are dealing with right now. This year, we're seeing what might be the most lopsided holiday shopping season in a long time. If you turn on the news, you'll hear talk about record spending, but if you dig just a little deeper, the picture looks a lot different. To start off with, the big retail trackers say Americans spent more than ever during Cyber Week. Adobe Analytics reported that folks spent over $44 billion online between Thanksgiving and Cyber Monday, but that number has been influenced by inflation. According to Salesforce, the average selling price for online goods was about 7% higher than last year, and a lot of people are feeling the pinch. Consumer confidence, according to the Conference Board, is the lowest that it's been since the spring. More families are saying that they're just not sure if they can afford the basics, let alone splurge on big fancy Christmas gifts. And retailers know that folks are hurting. That's why you're seeing sales and discounts earlier and deeper than ever before on everything from TVs and toys to, believe it or not, things like laundry detergent and canned food. They're trying to get you in the door, not just for gifts, but for your everyday needs. It's a sign that a lot of shoppers aren't just hunting for deals on presents. They're bargain hunting just to get by. But there's another side to this that isn't making the big headlines, and that's debt. This season, buy now, pay later programs are everywhere. You can split just about any purchase into different payments, and while that may help people get through the holidays, it's a band-aid on a much bigger wound. Credit card balances are hitting new highs and delinquencies are going up. More and more people are stretching their paychecks with credit, just trying to keep the lights on and maybe put something under the tree. Regular, everyday families are still spending, but they're doing it with a lot more caution and a lot more stress. And that's not sustainable forever. Kantar research shows fewer households have any kind of emergency savings set aside. More people are living paycheck to paycheck, and after the holidays, when the sales are over and the bills come due, there's a real risk that spending could drop off a cliff. And with all this going on, now's a good time to keep your pantry stocked, stay a step ahead on the things that your family actually uses, and avoid taking on extra debt for stuff that you don't really need. Focus on essentials. Be smart about what you buy, and don't let the headlines make you feel like you have to keep up with anybody else. Then another major point of stress for a lot of people is what's going on with health insurance. For the past couple of years, millions of Americans have had their health care insurance premiums lowered thanks to expanded subsidies. Those involve the government paying a bigger chunk of the bill for people who bought their plans on the Affordable Care Act marketplace. These enhanced subsidies made coverage doable for a lot of folks who probably would have been priced out otherwise. It really includes middle-class families, early retirees, and self-employed folks who don't get insurance through their employer. But those subsidies are going to expire at the end of the year unless Congress extends them. The Senate just tried to pass a bill to extend the subsidies for another 3 years, and while it got a majority, it didn't clear the 60-vote hurdle. Most Democrats and a handful of Republicans were on board, but the rest of the GOP blocked it. On the flip side, Republicans pitched a plan that would take those subsidies and instead of paying them to insurance companies, would put the money into health savings accounts. That one didn't pass either. Meanwhile, in the House, Republicans left any mention of an extension out of their own big health care bill, focusing on things like expanding association health plans and pushing for price transparency on drugs. Some centrist Republicans are nervous, though, because a lot of their constituents, especially older folks and families with kids, stand to get hammered with premium hikes if those subsidies go away. There is talk of a last-minute amendment, but with the year winding down, it may not happen. If nothing changes, about 22 million Americans could see their premiums shoot up by more than 20%, and in some cases, especially for older families, by hundreds of dollars a month. And that's not pocket change. That could be the difference between being able to pay the mortgage or not. Some families could see premiums skyrocket 200% or more for certain plans. Democrats are warning about a health care crisis if the subsidies vanish, while Republicans are saying that they want reforms that don't just throw more money at insurance companies. President Trump is calling for any federal money to go straight to families, not to what he calls big, fat, rich insurance companies. Both sides are dug in, and as usual, it's regular people who are hanging in the balance. So if you're in the middle of open enrollment, this is kind of a tough spot to be in. Do you sign up now, not knowing what your premiums are going to look like halfway through next year, or do you roll the dice and hope Congress works something out at the 11th hour? It's not a great situation, and it's another reminder of how quickly things can change, even if you're doing everything right. If you're in that group, keep a close eye on what's happening in DC over the next few weeks. Have a backup plan, even if it's just researching alternative coverage options. If you got prescription meds, see if you can fill them ahead for a month or two just in case your coverage changes or premiums jump up unexpectedly. Then we have the situation in Venezuela, and things down there got a lot more interesting last week when the United States seized a massive oil tanker off of their coast. The move was part of ongoing sanctions that the U.S. has had in place against Venezuela's government and their state-run oil company since 2019, aimed at putting pressure on President Nicolas Maduro's regime. To put this in context, this is the first time since those sanctions went into effect that the U.S. has actually grabbed a tanker loaded with Venezuelan oil. The ship is being taken to Houston, and as you can guess, Venezuela's government isn't very happy about it. Maduro's officials are calling it piracy and have promised to fight it in every international court that they can find. Losing that much oil and the revenue from it is a real blow to an economy that's already barely limping along. Then just a day after the tanker was seized, the U.S. dropped a fresh set of sanctions, including some against key members of Maduro's inner circle and family members. There's a particular focus on what U.S. officials call narco-nephews, relatives of Maduro's wife accused of running drugs. This new round of sanctions is designed to make it even harder for Venezuela to sell oil or find buyers willing to risk getting caught in the crossfire. And when it comes to the U.S. going after more ships, officials have basically said that, yeah, it's on the table. But here's where things get a little more concerning from a prepper's perspective. All this is happening as the U.S. is building up its military presence in the southern Caribbean and ramping up counter-narcotics operations near Venezuelan waters. Since September, U.S. forces have carried out over 20 strikes on suspected smuggling boats, sinking some and taking out around 90 people involved. And that goes beyond just normal policing the seas. It's getting dangerously close to a shooting war, and if things escalate, you could see even more disruption in global shipping lanes, especially for oil. Then regional leaders like Brazil's President Lula da Silva are calling for calm and warning about the risks of a wider conflict. They know that if things spiral out of control, it could mean big problems for the entire region, in addition to more volatility in global energy prices. So for us, first of all, it means pay attention to the gas pump. Fuel prices could spike, and that would hit everything from grocery bills to heating costs. It's also a reminder of how fragile the global supply chains really are. If you're not already stocked up on the essentials, now's a good time to take care of that. That includes everything from fuel to food and water and even medications. Next up, we have the situation in Europe, and what happened this past week could end up shaping not just the future of Ukraine, but the broader stability of the whole region. High-level peace talks between Ukraine, the United States, and European leaders just wrapped up in Berlin. There's a sense that everyone's under a lot of pressure to finally hammer out some sort of deal to end the war with Russia. That conflict's been dragging on for years now, and it's affected everything from energy markets to food prices around the world. One of the biggest headlines from these talks is that Ukraine signaled that it might be willing to drop its bid for NATO membership in exchange for real, legally binding security guarantees from the West. That's a big shift, and it shows how serious the situation has become. The Kremlin's always said Ukraine joining NATO was a red line. For Ukraine to even put this on the table means that they're desperate for some kind of long-term security, especially after fighting this war largely on their own for so long. But here's the problem. Even if NATO membership is taken off the table, there are still massive obstacles. The biggest one is territory. Russia wants Ukraine to officially hand over the eastern regions that are currently under Russian occupation, and Ukraine's answer to that is a hard no, and most Ukrainians feel the same way. Polls show about 3/4 of the country are against giving up land for peace, even if it would mean an end to fighting. Meanwhile, President Trump's team is pushing hard for a deal to happen quickly, but Zelensky's hands are tied by both public opinion and the reality on the ground. No leader wants to go home having given up a chunk of their country, and at the same time, Europe's getting nervous with energy prices still volatile and everyone feeling the economic effects of the conflict. European leaders were in Berlin backing Ukraine and trying to make sure that any agreement is fair and lasting. Russia, for its part, is playing the waiting game. They weren't at the table directly, but the Kremlin is watching every move and has made it clear that they're not going to accept any deal that just gives Ukraine time to regroup or rearm. Putin says he's open to serious peace, but only on Russia's terms, and nobody really trusts each other at this point. For us, the outcome of these talks could mean the difference between the war continuing for yet another year or a shaky peace that may or may not last. Either way, it's going to impact global energy prices, grain exports, and even cyber risks, because whenever things heat up over there, we usually feel it over here too, whether it's at the gas pump, the grocery store, or through cyber attacks. So stay prepared, stay flexible, and keep an eye on the bigger picture. Now, if you want to see the most dangerous mistakes that people make during winter and cold weather blackouts, then click here. Or if you want to see items that would disappear in a major crisis, then click here. Once again, I'd like to thank Cove Pure for sponsoring us today. Thank y'all for stopping by. Y'all have a good one.